Hello, how's it going? You can tell it's been a little while since I've done this. I'm a little rusty, but this is Dr. Kyle Fagala, and welcome to the Digital Orthodontist Live. I'm your host, as always, and tonight I'm very excited to be talking about a topic it's a big deal lately, and that is the topic of new options in clear aligner therapy. We did a podcast on this same topic. Oh man, probably 3 years ago. We had 3M, we had Invisalign, and we had ULab. And we had some excellent guests from that just to discuss the variety of options in the world of orthodontics, which is a great thing because long gone are the days of only having one or two options for clear aligners. Fortunately, now we have dozens. And tonight, I'm going to focus on two of the newest options in orthodontics. Companies, and this is no offense to them, but probably a year, definitely 2 years ago, I'd never heard of them. So these are new companies. And tonight, we're going to be talking about Angel Aligner and OrthoFX. I have a lot of questions that I'm hoping to have answered tonight, and hopefully you're much the same. And so we're going to have two guests representing each one of these companies. They're going to help answer whatever questions we may have about Angel Aligner and OrthoFX. But I also want to discuss just the general experience, since three of my guests are orthodontists, of, trying a different aligner system and how that's gone for them and their practices. As always, our live audience is essential. That's you watching this. Laid back on your bed, and you got your cell phone and your Tostitos scoops, maybe, and some salsa. You're watching this, or maybe you're watching this later. But to the live audience in particular, this can only be a success because of your participation. So thank you for tuning in. You could be doing other things, but I'm glad that you're doing this. I want to encourage you to comment and to ask questions throughout. I'm going to do my best to share comments and questions that come up, and we'll share those and answer those in real time. Of course, this makes the episode better because of your participation. But before we get started, we do have a quick message from tonight's episode sponsor, and that is Ortho2. Are you ready to elevate your practice to new heights of sophistication and innovation? I would hope so. Look no further than Ortho2's Edge Cloud, a leading practice management software trusted by orthodontic colleagues everywhere. With Edge Cloud, meet and exceed the expectations of today's patients while streamlining your operations. Experience our tailored solutions, all backed by our unparalleled white glove customer service. Interested in learning more? You can connect with them at ortho2.com and upgrade to Edge Cloud today to take your practice and patient experience to the next level. Ortho2, thank you for sponsoring. Sorry that I butchered a little bit of that ad. But Ortho2 is excellent. They also supported Orthomania, so I love them. So go to ortho2.com and learn more about that. All right, so let me go ahead and bring on my first two guests. These are going to be two doctors representing Angel Aligner. We have the lovely Dr. Jessica Cohen and the lovely Dr. Jeff Heinz. How are we doing tonight?
Good.
Doing great.
Thanks
for having me.
You guys look so professional. So thank you for being here. You are two people that I have really been impressed with somewhat from afar. We're in this weird world where we follow people online and we feel like we know them, but maybe the three of us have interacted in person a total of 4 times or something. I don't know, but
I was a fanboy at your concert.
Yeah, right. I was going to say I am too, but that doesn't work that way. So I've been at all the concerts, so I guess I am sort of a fanboy, but I appreciate that. Thank you. So I want to be very clear, for whatever it's worth, Jessica and Jeff, I think what's unique about this is they are not KOLs for Angel Aligner. For what it's worth, this is an episode that I wanted to do, and I sought out Angel and OrthoFX for editorial reasons. I think that they have an interesting story, both of them. And so we're going to spend 30 minutes talking Angel Aligner, then we'll spend 30 minutes talking OrthoFX. And so Dr. Neil Warshawsky and Ren Menon from OrthoFX, they're just sitting there in the backstage area. I can see them, but you can't see them. And they're just sweating it out. Yeah. Neil's actually dancing right now. So you'll have to wait to see him do that in real life. But back to the point of Angel Aligner, Jeff and Jessica, they're not KOLs. They're not paid to do this. They were asked to do this because they've been using the system for a little while, and they're excited to share their experience. And so, again, it's a new system, but very excited to have them. So let me do quick bios for each of them if you don't know Jessica and Jeff. Jessica is a board-certified orthodontist. She got her DMD from Case Western and an MS from the University of Illinois at Chicago, which tonight is admittedly sort of a Chicago thing. You'll see what I mean later. She's born and raised in Cleveland. Cleveland rocks, and she now runs her own practice in Highland Park, which is a suburb of Chicago. She's a member of several prestigious dental associations. She combines research on facial attractiveness with her dedication to patient care. She also, and I added this, she has 3 adorable daughters that you can watch on Instagram. Very beautiful family. So thanks for joining us, Jessica.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. And then I have Dr. Jeff Heinz. He's the other one on the screen right now. He's the founder of Heinz Orthodontics, which is in Rockford and Grand Rapids, Michigan. Michigan, right? I'll make sure I've got my state abbreviations right. He's renowned in the orthodontic community for his positivity and great sense of humor. I added that part because I saw you speak at Orthopreneurs, and it was excellent. Truly one of the best lectures that I have ever heard. And I don't go to a lot of lectures because I space out, but I was at yours. I was so glad that I was. And then reading back on the bio, I was off script. But despite a motocross accident during his second year at University of Detroit Mercy that left him paralyzed, Dr. Heinz's determination saw him finish at the top of his class. After practicing general dentistry for a little bit, he completed ortho residency at Indiana and opened his practice in September of 2020. He does have a truly inspiring story. And again, Jessica, Jeff, welcome to the show. How are we doing?
Good to be here, man.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yep. Well, let's jump in. So we got 7 questions for our angel people, representatives, I guess so, our doctors. And then we've got 7 questions for OrthoFX coming around. And then, of course, I like to share questions from the audience. I don't really have anything important to share except Dale said, oh, I don't know. So thank you, Dale, for that.
I knew he would tune in.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll get some better questions. But I like that. That's a good way to start off. Ow, or whatever you say that. So question 1, let's start with the basics. Jessica, I'll start with you. Quickly, how long have you been using Angel, and why did you decide to use their system?
I've been using it for 7 months. And honestly, I switched because my rep from Embrace switched Sapka. And my good friend in California really spoke highly of it. And I was having a hard time with some setups of other aligner companies that I was using. And I thought I'd give it a try.
Nice. Yeah, great. I know Sapka. So I went to a dinner at Orthopreneurs. Gosh, who knows where we were, somewhere. And it was like a Japanese dinner. And I was like, well, I love Japanese food. I think I'll go. And Brian was speaking, who I love him. And she was there, and she kind of got me into the thing. I don't think I was on the list. So shout out to her. Jeff, now you get the same question. When did you switch? How long have you used Angel Aligner? When did you start using Angel, I should say?
Yes, actually at Orthopreneurs last year, I saw the booth, went over and chatted, and saw a bunch of familiar faces that I'd seen or had known over the years, and was kind of ready for making a switch. You know, I don't know, I'm always looking for something that's better. So we just kind of dipped in. I've been in practices where you change something drastically all in one day and then find out it sucks. And it, is a huge wrench in your system. So we kind of got our feet wet for a little bit and really fell in love with it. And yeah, we've been using it ever since exclusively.
Nice. Okay. Very cool. All right. So this is my commentary here, so just take it as that. But I think this is no surprise, is that one of the big gripes with, other clear aligner companies, and this can be true of other companies in general, but maybe a perceived animus from some of those at the top, or maybe kind of rude sales reps or things. I mean, that's those sort of storylines have kind of floated around for years and years. From all accounts, this is something that seems, I wouldn't say unique to Angel, but it seems to be true of Angel, is that they have a sort of fresh and friendly culture. I think on some level, the North American part is relatively new. I mean, this was founded in China, and we'll talk about this later, in 2003. So they've been around for a long time, but in North America, relatively new. And so on some level, you could say, yeah, well, that's easy because they're new or whatever. But my experience, they sponsored Orthomania. They were the top sponsor. They were all top to bottom excellent to work with. So thanks to them too. But the point I'm getting to is that from everyone that I've talked to, they're easy to work with, professional to work with, good to do business with. Did this awareness factor in your decision to work with them, or was that news to you? Or maybe you're going to say, well, they've actually not been very professional. They've been very rude to me. So, Jeff, just quickly on that, has that proven to be true?
Yeah, I mean, I had known a few of the people that are in their management team from Ormco and things like that back in the day, and I knew that they were great. So when I saw that they were there and said hi to them, I was like, oh, guess I'll give them a try, or at least see what's up. And everything from top to bottom has been great ever since. Reps are super responsive. The low responses have been great. We're always looking for better and bigger things. So things that we wanted to change, we're asking for it and they're delivering it. So no complaints on my end.
Nice. Jessica, same question to you. And also, was there anything else that impacted your decision?
No, I think everyone's been great. I think that's been one of the biggest things that Angel provides is the customer service. I think that when you need something, they're responsive. I think kind of Jeff touched on, I think that if there's a setup that you don't like, you can acknowledge it quickly and within 24 hours, it's better. The service has been a huge standout point for a reason to stick with Angel. Got it.
Cool. All right. Let's get in, and I want to spend a little more time on this question. Clinical options. Assume I know nothing about the system, and largely is true. Oh, I forgot to switch my question. Sorry. See, I'm rusty. Clinical options. I know there's a lot of unique features, and again, they're a new company to us, I guess for patent reasons or whatever, but it's been around for a while. So it's been in China for, I guess, coming up on 21 years or something. So they do have a lot of features. I want to hear some of your favorites. So Jessica, if you want to jump into, and I've got a long list here, I can read them off, but I'll let you kind of offer some. And if you miss some, I'll mention some maybe.
So. I mean, I really like the Angel buttons. I do a lot of cases with aligners that are more advanced or whatnot. I think the Angel buttons are awesome. I really like the flexibility of it. I think patients like it. I really like the bite turbos. I treat a lot of adults as well. I think the bite turbos are great. I think that the plastic is better. I don't know how you feel, Jeff, but for some reason, I feel like the bite settling, the finishing's great. It's not like I need to do the same sort of bite settling that I need to do. The setups are great. Maybe I make one or two changes. I think overall, there are a lot of features that I really like, but the Angel buttons are probably my favorite. And the material is probably my second.
I also have on here other things, just reading from the website. IRS, that doesn't sound good. Internal Revenue Service, does that stand for something else with Angel? Do you know? All right, some of the comments let me know. It must mean something.
I do like their Ceph, their Ceph tracing feature. Didn't even know there was a thing. My bad, until my rep came in and educated me. Thank God. I don't trace every Ceph or anything like that, but I love tracing Cephs, like watching class 3 growth and things like that, waiting on when to start. And even if they're a braces patient, I just toss them in there. The AI traces it. You can move the points super easy and track them, and it'll do superimpositions for you. Everything. It's really, really dialed in.
Okay. Kind of wish I'd had that in residency, because my thesis, among other things, involved tracing I don't know, 9,000 Cephs or something, just miserable. And I would sit there and I would watch Eastbound and Down with my other two resident buddies and trace Cephs. So, which wasn't a terrible thing. Jeff, you strike me as an Eastbound and Down guy. I don't know, but
oh yeah, Ashley Schaefer.
Yeah, sure, exactly. Yeah, we won't go into those lines. That was an aside. So the Ceph thing, and also Warren Cohen, if Warren's watching, he and Roy King always give me a hard time for not tracing Cephs. And no, I don't trace Cephs. So maybe I would.
Just so you guys know, IRS is the intelligent root system. I know you'd.
There you go. Okay. Yeah, I knew it would come up eventually.
Oh, that root system.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the revenue service. Okay. I also see something about optional trim lines. I assume that means you can scallop or go straight across or something like that. That's pretty cool. Multiple attachment template options. I don't know why I would want that, but that's kind of cool. Firm or flexible. I've never considered such a thing, but that's kind of cool. And then
have you ever used any of the flexible templates with any of the other aligners or anything like that? We initially loved them and thought they were great. I hate them now. So we really like the rigid one.
Yeah. I mean, I like the idea of options. I would probably just float right into the standards and never change them. I like to monkey with stuff that isn't important, like pinball machines and stuff like that, and snare drums and cymbals. Not orthodontic tools. So no, I'm just kidding. So it looks like there's some good options, some unique options. I think the button is the thing that gets talked about perhaps the most, which is just a button that you can put anywhere in between teeth on the aligner. I mean, that is a big problem point with our present aligner system, is just either you have the hook or you have the cutout, and then you do the cutout and the buttons come loose. So I'm sure there could be some potential other issues with them being bonded on. Do they ever break off, or do you see any side effects from the force applied to them? Or
you go ahead.
If anything, I see the soft tissue getting irritated. I mean, just because a little more.
a little more prominent if you don't have an elastic
Right.
on it, so they're way more comfortable with them. But
Right.
that's if they're between the 2 and the 3, sometimes it's a little bit, but if you
If you
keep them
dislike,
behind the 3, they don't hardly feel it at all. I love it for different kind of mechanics too. I mean, an impacted canine, you want to bootstrap elastic too. If you're doing tad intrusion, you can toss it right onto that instead of having to go all the way around and place tads on the palate as well as the buccal. It opens up probably a little bit too much of my geeking out on the ClinChecks or the Prover software.
Dale is crushing it in the comment section. Thank you, Dale. This is his third comment. Fantastic. You win the award tonight. What's the deal with the angel buttons? We just talked about it. And also thank you to Tara for Intelligent Root System. Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on. Let's go on to question. Nope.
So
question.
Did we explain the angel button really?
Yeah,
so
I
it's
think
an
so.
integrated button that's onto the aligner. It just comes right on it, so you don't have to place anything. Saves chair time. All that.
I love the idea. I love the idea of that. And I love the idea of the options. So, all right, let's go on to this one. How many patients, if you're comfortable sharing this, do you have in treatment so far with Angel? And then what's your experience been like with progress and tracking? And, and admittedly, before you say anything, like, I think to someone who's a cynic that's watching out there, they'd say, well, you've only been doing this for so many months. So what do you really know? And I get that. It's a new system. So you're damned if you do, damned if you don't with this conversation. But to the point that you're at right now, maybe how many patients, and then how's it been going? Jeff, you want to start?
Yeah, it's been great. We're right at 200 patients in treatment with it. And I mean, honestly, with the retention that we have and the people that we're seeing, we track everyone with dental monitoring. So we're watching them really, really closely. Everything, in my opinion, is tracking as good or better than anything I've done before. There's no reason to think that they wouldn't be finishing better. And we have finished, quite a few cases and are loving it. The same thing as what Jess said. It seems like that finishing stage is really dialed in. And, of course, anecdotally, I feel like we're doing fewer refinements and I'm liking where we're at refinement. But, again, still early on, but loving everything that we've had so far. No red flags.
Okay. Jessica, what about you?
I'm just over about 50 cases in. TAFCO is really the reason why I decided to give it a shot. And I'm really happy. I tell all patients that I do aligners in 3 stages, and it's less aligners, it's less treatment time. People are tracking a lot better. I love it. It's been great. It really, I have not had any issues. Tracking has been great. Settling has been great. I think that I don't wind up with the posterior open bites that I used to have to address. I think that things settle really nicely.
Jess, are you using any of the Pro where it's the 2-part aligner material?
I'm not. I'm just doing standard. I mean, I have my staging's less. I'm finishing a lot faster than I was before. I'm finding, I mean, the distalization I've slowed down a little bit, but everything that I've done is finishing faster, and it's less aligners.
Yeah, we haven't done much of it, but apparently, Kyle, they do have, it's like a 2-part. So there's a number 1A and a number 1B. The first one's a real flexible material. The second one's a little stiffer. So it's like NiTi versus stainless or TMA wire kind of a thing. I haven't really experimented with it a lot yet, but that's kind of next up on the list.
Yeah. Yeah. The 3M does something kind of like that with flex and force. And I think that's great too. I like the idea. And again, I'd probably be like, give me the standard, I'll just take
that. I feel like I don't really need it. Like, I don't want to learn a new system. I want something that's going to be efficient. It's going to save me time. And I mean, that's kind of where I'm at right now.
But ostensibly, like, deep bites or whatever, like the application is. Like, I know, again, this is 3M, but Shane Langley talks about starting in force and, for deep bites and for getting those like kind of more complex movements worked out and then shifting into flex. And I guess, in this sense, you could do the same sort of thing. I mean, obviously in aligners, deep bites are tricky and there's some movements that are tricky. So maybe that's a good thing. And that's called Pro. Is that like a separate system that you sort of sign
as you approve your plan, you just check off which one that you want, Pro or the regular or anything from there.
Okay. All right, cool. I like it. Guys, we're doing great. I've got a nice audience out there. You can ask all the questions you want, people. It doesn't just have to be Dave. It was Dave, right? Dale, I'm so sorry. Not Dave. I was just testing. Okay, so this is a big question that comes up when we talk about starting to use a different clear aligner system for what it's worth is case acceptance. And so, I asked this question 3 years ago of people and got the same answer, which was definitively no, it's never come up, or it came up this one time or whatever. But I'm going to ask it anyway, because it is a very common thing is, have you gotten any patient pushback? And then how are patients responding to using a new clear aligner brand?
Yeah, for
Jessica.
us.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Well, I was going to
Ladies
ping pong.
first.
Jessica. Yeah, ladies first. Yeah.
No, actually, it's been great. Everyone's been receptive to it. I think that there's been no pushback. I've always had a couple of different systems in the practice. I think that I explained to them the difference in the plastic. I explained to them that maybe it might be less aligners and that the result might, it'll be potentially a little bit faster for what I've been working with. No, I've not had pushback.
Okay.
Yeah, same here. We have had other aligner systems aside from Invisalign, and have never had an issue with it. I feel resoundingly that they want whatever you're recommending, and they're coming to you for you, and not for using any sort of a certain brand. So we've never had any pushback from it. We can offer any sort of aligner if they do come to us and are like, I'm drawing a line in the sand. This is what I want. Sure, I'll give it to you. That's fine. But now we haven't had any issues with it at all.
Yeah. I remember coming into orthodontics. What was this? I should know, 2013. And at the time, there was the big conversation around the braces system you use and whether it was self-ligating or whatever. And I still to this day use MBT twin. I mean, technically it's Roth upper 2 to 2. I mean, there's some little variations, but just boring old conventional twin. Just what I used in residency, and I really like it. And I remember being concerned from a marketing perspective that someone was going to ask for product X, because that's kind of what had been ingrained in my mind going to a couple meetings, and that has never happened. No one has ever asked me, not once.
They're not going to either.
But I've only been doing this for 11 years, so they may one day. We have a great question from Dr. Brandon Martin. Brandon's a heck of a guy, and he's asking, I left this out, and it was almost like kismet because Brandon was going to ask about it. But have you tried out their Class 2 mandibular advancement option? I think they call it A6. I didn't say A6 because I didn't know what it meant, but now I do. It's the Class 2 mandibular advancement option. Have either of you used that? If the answer is no, it's okay.
Yeah, no, we tried it with a previous aligner company and I hated it. So I had no interest in using it here.
Yeah, I've never used the mandibular advancement feature that's, I use Invisalign. I've never used it. Again, I'm a wimp. We got Dr. Oh yeah, we got Dr. Neil coming on later, and I'm sure he's probably like broken a mandible and reset it himself with his own hands at some point. So he'll share with us all the ways that those things work. I think Brandon, and this is like a very I think not the answer you were seeking, I'm sure, but I believe theirs is more based on like a twin block kind of philosophy or approach.
It's different than Invisalign. Yeah,
Invisalign's is more like a Mara, I guess, if you could say it like that. I don't know. Sounds cool. I'm hoping I don't ever have to use that, but I'm glad that it's an option. I mean, of course, I'm a big Herbst guy, and call me crazy. I love the Herbst. And I'm not going to use a Herbst before I do aligners. Maybe I should, but I use, I don't know, 50, 60 a year. There's a lot of Class 2s rolling around Memphis, and it would be nice to have a system that gets the job done for full step if they're doing aligners. I don't do quite as many like young adolescents or young teens. So with, Class 2 correction in aligners. So I don't know, but A6, that's an option. I love that, Brandon. Thank you for bringing that up. Guys, we got a couple more questions. You're crushing it. This is like, wow, this is out of left field. Sorry to get all controversial. But this is a question just out of nowhere. This does come up in conversations about Angel when it's brought up. And honestly, I've not seen a product or a company receive maybe as positive a response in the Facebook groups in recent memory as Angel. I mean, it's really been it's almost like my BS meter goes off a little bit just because people are so positive. But inevitably, someone comes in and they say, well, it's either not proven or they bring up the connection to China. And this is meant as no offense to the people of China or people who have family in China or whatever. This is just me responding to that criticism. The company was founded in 2003 in China. I guess to the two of you, and maybe there's people that can comment in the audience, but do you have any concerns about that connection? I think probably like the primary concern people would bring up is, what about if there's like the political, like sort of embargo or tariffs or duty taxes or I don't know what the other like concern would be or whatever. I mean, I joked in one of the groups, like I was typing my comment on an iPhone. It turns out we use a lot of Chinese products. So Jeff, I don't know. Do you have anything to say to this?
No, it doesn't really bother me at all. I'm not right. It doesn't bother me at all. And I'm not worried about anything like that. They're a big enough company. They're growing pretty rapidly. I just learned the other day that they have a new manufacturing facility that is open and that they're kind of working on in Brazil. So, I mean, if something like that, God forbid, were to happen, I'm sure they're going to figure out a way to make it happen. Right.
Yeah, you kind of said that very quickly, but they did, like you said, they purchased, I don't know the name of the company, but it was like the biggest liner company in Brazil. So they do have a manufacturing facility in Brazil. I don't know if that's
yeah,
like,
I think they're supposed to be starting to manufacture into the States from that facility in 2025, I think. Don't quote me on that, but it's just like anything. I mean, if you're going to be worried about the company being based in China, are you going to divest from every one of your international stock index funds that are over there too? Like, I'm not. I'm a little more confident, more optimistic.
Yeah, no, yeah, I'm not going to, but I don't know. I let smarter people figure those things out. So, Jessica, any thoughts on that question?
No, I think it's a fair question. I think it comes down to clinical care. And I think that everyone's extremely responsive whenever I've had issues. For example, my setups were coming back with a lot of flared upper canines. And I had a lot of excess overjet between my upper threes. And for whatever reason, all of a sudden out of nowhere it happened. I told my rep within 24 hours, I was on a call. All my setups are perfect again. I guess in Asia, we're flaring them, but for whatever reason, it comes down to clinical care. I think ultimately the reps take care of us and they care about our patients. And no, I'm not worried at all.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And I think, even over the last year, the growth, I mean, I don't know what it has been exactly, but it seems to probably help bolster this. Although now after this appearance on this podcast, they're going to get so popular and the quality is going to go down the tubes. Thanks to you two. No, I'm just kidding. I have a really nice comment. Yeah, it's not me. No, I'm not responsible for this. I have a really nice comment from Benson Koppel and Associates. Actually, Patterson should be in there. We got to update that name because Shannon is in that now. And we got to get the new logo. Come on, Benson. I'm guessing this is Chris, but I'm not sure. This could be Shannon. We're approaching almost 30 years since aligner treatment has been on the scene, 21 years with Angel. My question is, can Angel treat any patient you see? And if so, why are only 30% of active patients in aligners? Is it still about the lab fee, compliance, moms not trusting their kids to lose them? Why are we not seeing aligner treatment grow past 30% of our active cases? Interesting question. Jessica, what do you think?
I think kids want braces. I mean, I have an 11, 10, and 7-year-old. I have a wave of kids that want aligners. I have a wave of kids that want braces. Some kids think braces are cool. It's on trend. I mean, it's like skincare. I love aligners. If I could treat every patient with aligners, I would. My chair time's less. The emergencies are less. Kids want braces. They just do. And you got to give them what they want, right?
Yeah. Jeff, same for you?
I'm with you there. Well, yeah, I think there's plenty of kids that just want braces. And some of them you can kind of talk to them about some of the pros and maybe they're on the fence and, they're willing to give it a shot and they go for it and love it. And that's great. But I think I disagree that, well, maybe it's only 30% on a whole, but I know people that are 100% practices aligners or 80%.
I have probably more. Yeah.
And I think it's more doctor driven than anything. I know I didn't learn much about aligners in residency. I took the aligner fellowship, learned a ton, and then did a ton more after that. I think a lot of doctors aren't super comfortable treating all their cases with them, and they want to do what's best for their patient. So if they're not comfortable with them, they're not going to use it for them. So probably there's an education piece on it, and just comfortability. And then to Jess's point, it's kids just want braces sometimes. You get guys like the braces guy out there making it look cool again.
So this is Grant. This is Grant's fault. Yeah.
Sorry, you got to blame someone.
Grant. It would be Grant, wouldn't it? Well, I actually have, for whatever it's worth, I have an opposing view in the sense that I prefer braces. I'll just be honest. I mean, I'm probably 23% aligners. I say probably. It's like exactly 23% as of last year, and some of that is geographical and demographic. I think people in my specific area prefer braces even more so. I mean, it comes down to this kind of classic question on some level. you want people to know that you're going through orthodontics or not? And I think, some cultures are more about kind of that. And then, of course, there is the trend of braces and whatever. But I have patients more and more and more who don't want them off. And I have a lot of adults who want them. And so I like that I have both options. And so I don't know. I think probably to that question specifically, like the fact that the lab fee has been seen as such an issue is probably still on some level why doctors don't do it. But probably more than that, it's just the quality of the treatment. And that is either because people don't think it does as well, or they don't have the education to treat it as well. Or I'm probably in the camp that think on average braces cases, I feel like I can get a better finish, but maybe that's just me. So
Angel finishes are actually fantastic. I used to think
I'm sure they are. Yeah. Well, and maybe I just need to start using that, maybe that's what it is. So I don't know, but I love to geek out on braces. So I guess I'm weird, but not self-ligating.
Braces are beautiful, baby. There's nothing wrong with them.
Braces are beautiful. Yeah. I just like that. I agree. Both. And so that's the easy thing. We can all agree. I'm glad that we have both, and I'm glad we have options for aligners. So we're coming around to our last question. We are right on time. Thank you to Neil and Ren, who are still waiting in the wings. We're coming to you very soon. This would be the last question. What are your main takeaways, if you want to sort of summarize it to kind of your elevator pitch here? The main takeaways from starting to use Angel Aligner, what would you share with colleagues? And then we'll do a little pitch for Angel. So like, what are your big takeaways from having used it for the time that you have? Jessica.
I like the plastic. I like the setups, and I like the service.
Well said.
Yeah, got it. Man, I wish I was that succinct. I think ultimately
He told me not to talk a lot. He said he doesn't like when people talk.
He was.
Oh, I didn't mean it like that. I didn't mean it on that level. I don't like when people go on for like 3 minutes at a time, and then I'm usually the one that does it. So I just wanted to have time so that I could wax philosophical. But go ahead, Jeff.
It's just good to have another option. I wasn't super happy with what we were using with another company that seemed to be growing a lot, and I was feeling those growing pains in our clinic. Unfortunately, I'm like, all right, maybe there's something else out there that's better, and in my opinion, it is. And if that were to ever change in the future, then I would be switching to something else that's better. You know what I mean? But for right now, the setups are great. The service is amazing. And I'm loving the results. So I'm a happy camper.
Well said. It was very good. You guys were awesome. I knew you would be. When Sue said, hey, I think we're going to have Jessica and Jeff, I was like, oh, no way. It's like a dream. So you guys were awesome. Easy on us. Oh, I've done it a few times.
You made it very easy.
Oh, well, you guys were awesome. It seems like you do this every Monday night, So keep your computers open. They're going to keep uploading. Jeff's at work. Go home, Jeff. Go home.
You got it, brother. I already got my PJs on the bottom half, so I'm
fantastic. Fantastic. We actually had a guest one time who didn't wear pants on the bottom half. It's this sort of joke. So I'm glad that you at least have pajama pants on. Jessica, you have a beautiful home from what I can tell. You guys have an awesome night. We're going to shift over now. Of course, thanks for being here. And I should say, if you're interested in learning more about Angel Aligner, darn it, almost missed this. You can email marketing NA, the NA is for North America, at angelaligner.com. Or I bet the people watching are resourceful enough to go to the website and fill out a contact form, but marketing NA at angelaligner.com, or message Jessica and Jeff and tell them they did a great job and ask them who the rep is. So, okay. Bye, guys. We will see you very soon. Oh, I just cut off Jessica. Sorry. And we're going to add Dr. Neil and Ren. Here we are. How are we doing, guys?
Lovely.
Doing okay? Yeah. Wasn't that so smooth how I totally cut her off as she was saying goodbye? Sorry, Jessica.
Sorry.
All right. So this is OrthoFX. We have switched things up a little bit. We have two handsome gentlemen with us. This is Dr. Neil. Tell me how to say your last name. I just always plow right ahead with it, and I probably say it incorrectly, but tell me how to say it.
Warshawsky.
I'll probably say that incorrectly again.
There's a bad detective movie, V.I. Warshawsky. So if you ever see the movie, you'll remember.
I will look it up. Okay, indeed. And then I also have co-founder and president of OrthoFX, Ren Menon. Did I say that correctly? I hope.
Sure. You got it. That's it.
Awesome. Is the hair, is it back? Do you have it back? Does it come? It comes down, right?
Yeah.
No, no, man.
He's got enough here for both of us.
I think, right? I think when we get to like question 5 or 6, just let that bad boy loose, So, all right, here we go. Dr. Neil Warshawsky, something like that. He's a Chicago native. He leads a dynamic practice. I love that. Get It Straight Orthodontics, and he's got 4 locations in the greater Chicago area. He is an associate professor at UIC, and he does the craniofacial cleft palate cases. That's fantastic. He lectures worldwide on a variety of orthodontic topics. He's published over 18 articles, and that's what's on the website. So it's probably like, what, 29 now or something?
Like double
yeah,
that.
That's how websites work. Yeah. He's
sorry.
he's participated in several clinical trials. He also, outside of work, enjoys family time, outdoor activities. I saw something about Boy Scouts, which is cool. Neil is a fantastic guy. I've known Neil. I say I've known Neil. I mean, we've probably had like 2 dinners together, but I just always really enjoyed it.
2, but
okay, maybe 3 or 4. Yeah. But well, we got to go to Wanawalk together.
Yeah, for sure. Right.
Yeah, probably played poker together or something. But he's always a good time. So Neil, thank you for being here with us tonight.
My pleasure.
Oh, I've got hold on. I forgot about this too. See, I'm rusty. I've got this.
A little late for the other 2.
Yeah, it's a little late for them. Well, that was for them too. So, and then we have Ren Menon. He's the president and co-founder at OrthoFX. He's an accomplished entrepreneur with 20 plus years of clear aligner industry experience. As the global head of product innovation at Invisalign, he played a pivotal role in establishing the company as a category leader, and he oversaw the development and commercialization of every Invisalign innovation from 2004 to 2006. Wow. He's got an entrepreneurial spirit that extends beyond ortho. He successfully launched ventures in various sectors, including founding and scaling successful ventures in staffing, consumer tech, insurance tech, and medical devices. Very impressive. So Neil and Ren, welcome to the show. Let's jump in. I actually got to visit the OrthoFX booth at this year's AAO. I heard Neil speak. I've known Neil, as I just said, for a decade, and so I have a lot of respect for him. I also met Locke Fan, who is, I have it written down, you correct me if I'm wrong, but the mastermind behind the plastic technology. His history goes way back. You can look him up on LinkedIn. I did. He's been doing this for a while. He's a very nice man. But tell me the story, Ren, if you don't mind, of how OrthoFX got started, because you were there from the very beginning. Maybe mention some about the team, maybe mention some about Locke, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having us on your show. This is such a privilege. As industry insiders, we had observed that innovation in the orthodontic industry had stalled for a while. I live in Silicon Valley, and things are moving here at warp speed. And if you look at orthodontics, you're seeing a lot of Me Too products and some incremental improvements from time to time, which are labeled as innovations. And we feel that is shortchanging the idea of an innovation in itself. So this is the realization that inspired us to start OrthoFX in 2018, Dr. Fagala. Our goal was to create a step change in the industry through innovation, and in 3 key areas. The first, if you think about the world of orthodontics, you can think of it as a tripod with clear aligners. The first leg being the polymer that moves the teeth. The second leg being the clinical software for treatment planning and monitoring. And then the business model itself. And what we wanted to do was innovate on all 3 dimensions. And on the last dimension, we use AI-powered software to create an all-in-one ecosystem for orthodontists. This ecosystem provides access to services like treatment financing and GP referrals. All this is available to you from a single login and a patient list. This was the vision that we started the company with. And I brought together some of the technology pioneers, originals in the industry. Like you mentioned, Locke Fan, he invented the first aligner polymer, and also the key innovator behind almost every generation of polymer that has followed, the tri-laminate polymer that's used by pretty much every brand that is out there. Henry Chan, who led the development of foundational software platforms like ClinCheck. You're very familiar with that software platform. My third co-founder was Nicole Garcia, who was the worldwide head of Philips Oral Care. So we came together to just provide this industry a little bit of a jolt to think differently and act differently. That way we can realize the true potential of this industry, which I feel is still hugely underserved. It's at least a 10x expansion possibility for this industry if we were to really go deep into the world of innovation kind of things that we are looking at.
Nice. Okay. Very well said. I appreciate that. So I want to jump into this, and I feel like I'm hitting you with a hard question very early, but I'll just be honest. When I first saw OrthoFX, I mean, you don't know until you know, right? I saw the thing about wearing the aligners only at night only, and my BS meter went through the roof just because it reminded me of a certain direct-to-consumer company that was, sorry, Neil, that was talking about, nighttime aligner wear and all this kind of stuff, and I equated it as such. And I was like, is this a GP product? Is this like a, it just didn't sound realistic. And of course, anytime you sort of rethink, a tool or an industry or whatever, you're going to get that reaction, I think. And I think that's to be expected, let's say. And time will tell, right? But visiting the booth and seeing the lecture, seeing Neil attached to it, it gave me the willingness to give you the benefit of the doubt on that. And so I think that is going to kind of be the conversation tonight, is just talking about technology that's totally different. Because I mean, and don't hear this the wrong way, but with some exceptions, every other aligner system is kind of predicated on the same concept, right? It's sort of horse-drawn carriage, and then this is sort of like the automobile, like conceptually, assuming it works and so on and so forth. You see what I'm saying? So obviously, if this bears out to be true, that you can just wear it 9 to 12 hours a night or whatever it is, that's a game changer. And I mean, one of the bigger innovations in aligners of a couple decades, right? So, so tell me, this is called nighttime aligners. How does that work? And then I'm going to follow up with a question on research. I'm going to hit you hard, and then I'm going to go easy on you. So how's it supposed to work?
I would rather answer this question very directly than, people think about it and not really ask. So first of all, right. So first of all, our nighttime aligners work very similarly to nighttime wires, and hence the name, as opposed to wear it only at night. What we set out to do was to develop the first compliance-friendly aligner. And if you look at one of the biggest unaddressed needs in the industry, you can do anything on the treatment plan, you can do anything on the polymer, but what you need to account for is the human free will, where people will forget to. Compliance is a major issue with every medical category, including aligners. No matter how difficult you make an aligner, removing an aligner and things like that, people are still going to exercise free will. And they're either not going to wear it for 22 hours deliberately, or they will simply forget, or they will take the aligner, throw it away after lunch, and then ask for a replacement aligner, which all creates problems. So ideally, medical devices need to be designed around human behavior, as opposed to asking humans to change their behavior to the device. That's just the best way and the path of least resistance. So we designed the aligner to account for normal human behavior, which is we are forgetful people who like our lifestyle just the way it is, without a lot of changes. We also discovered, and this is something that I've studied for a long time through a number of pricing studies, that patients are willing to pay up to 20% more for an aligner system that fits within their lifestyle, within their wearing preferences and parameters. So based on that insight, we started our R&D work in 2018. This is the first aligner that's intentionally designed for shorter wear periods. So not only is the polymer composition different, I have a little video that, if you don't mind, I can show a little later.
Yep.
This is built with multiple polymers. There's an inner shell and an outer shell. Both the aligner is bonded just at the edges, and in between we have a design that is called an air shell. And it is this air shell construction that creates what is called the hyperelastic property. We break Hooke's law, which is where the stress is not proportional to the strain, which means that we can move teeth efficiently through optimal forces. We are able to create a more biologically friendly physiological movement through frontal resorption, as opposed to undermining resorption, which results in more efficient movement and more effective movement of the teeth. In terms of the question that you were asking about clinical research that we have done, we are the first and only aligner that the FDA has approved for reduced wear time. And trust me, I've tried to tackle this problem a lot of times in my other jobs. And this is something that took about 5 years for us to get the approval. We had to go through 4 clinical studies. We had to submit about 6,000 data points to the FDA. And in terms of research that we already have, we have a couple of publications. We are adding more to this through retrospective studies. We are also doing consecutive case series studies and a university project to drive home the point that, hey, this is possible if you look at, if you approach teeth movements with the lens of creating creating movements that are more efficient as opposed to just dialing up force or the other typical tricks that are deployed by that being tried and tested, if you may.
Well, that was well said. So it sounds like you've been working on it. I mean, I think that will be the primary challenge, and it is the primary challenge of anything. I mean, obviously, Invisalign bringing clear aligners into the market in the first place, which I mean, there was other concepts of clear aligner movement, but I mean, doing what Invisalign did in creating and positioning around that new treatment modality, I give them that credit for sure. There's a lot of, I mean, there's still people that hold on to those, questions and cynicisms about clear aligner therapy. I mean, it's 25 years later. So it's going to be a long timeline to convince people of the efficacy of it. And of course, more research to come and so on. But man, what an amazing thing if that bears out, right? So Neil, you're the one that's doing this clinically. I mean, if you don't mind me asking, how many cases have you done? And then I want to ask you about your experience with nighttime.
We're between 100 and 150, somewhere in there.
Okay.
We only got the material around March 1st of 2023. So, and these are really difficult aligners to build. So initially it took a long time to get the cases right because the quality had to be correct. Otherwise, it just wouldn't go. So, now they've scaled, now they're down the road a year and a half almost. And it's the only commercial system I use. Okay. It's not to say that I don't do ULab or whatever.
Yeah.
Because, little stuff I still do in-house, and we have direct printed aligners as well now. So we have choices for people, but when you ask me like for a full comprehensive system, nighttime is the material that I'm using simply because I think it's the best aligner made right now.
Nice.
That's all.
What if, I mean, I sort of know the answer to this question. I mean, if you're telling patients, hey, you can just wear this at night, I'm guessing they love it.
Yeah, I don't say that though, because,
Okay.
the problem is when you tell somebody that, they're going to wear it less, right? Everyone's going to be, like Ren said, up to human behavior. So what I say is wear it as much as you can. So be consistent. You have to give me 9 to 12 consecutive hours, and then anything after that just improves your success, right? So if you're at the 9-hour mark, you're going to probably refine. Okay. And I can tell you my teenagers that wear it 9 hours, and I have a bunch of them, we only build them in sprints of 20, and then we rescan them. That works great. Everything goes well. If I try to run them to the end, they're going to go offline. So it's just easier to plan for it. I'm not saying these are hard concepts to grab. Like the other two doctors said, this is a system where we're not using as many attachments, for sure. It's absolutely true that the inner shell grabs the teeth perfectly. The outer shell doesn't. That difference between those two shells creates a tension through the ear gap. And that's probably why, we say that the amount of force, whether it's day 1 or day 7, is about the same. When you look at a tri-laminated aligner or a 5-layered aligner like Clarity at 3M, Solventum, sorry, what you see is more of a cliff dive, right? The aligner starts with too much pressure and ends with too little pressure. This is a very consistent level across all 5, or 7 days or whatever you're wearing. And as a result of that, patients don't feel a lot of tension, not a lot of pain. Once the teeth are kind of in motion, I think they're very consistent in terms of response.
Okay. What about case type, case selection? I mean, you said that this is your only commercial product.
Yeah,
so I think I know the answer. We use it for everything.
Yeah. So I've got probably 5 finished orthognathic cases already. I've got extraction, non-extraction, class 3, class 1, class 2. There's a class, I'm treating everything with it.
I heard you treated a class 5. I heard one time, right?
5.5, but who's counting?
Oh, okay. Yeah. You showed some really impressive cases at the AAO treated with this system. So, I mean, obviously that always helps. I mean, that's a part of this, seeing how cases treat out. But I mean, they were impressive. But I kind of think that you would treat cases impressively with any system. But I guess in your hands, in your experience, are you treating them quicker with this? Is it less effort? Like what? You already said fewer attachments, But.
Yeah, and I think if you want to understand the patient experience, why don't you ask my patient? His name is Ren Menon. He's right below me, and ask him how his experience has been and how his experience was with another company that maybe he tried 7 different attempts at and failed all 7 times.
Yeah.
Okay. We should do that then.
Yes.
Yeah. The key here also, Doctor, thanks for the plug.
Yeah.
So I am Dr. Warshawsky's patient, and I live in San Francisco, the Bay Area. And Dr. Warshawsky is practicing in Chicago, and I am tracking on aligner number 27, and we have had 1 visit so far. And I'm horrible with compliance. I've tried a different aligner system 7 times.
Yes.
And 7-time failure, and hopefully an 8th-time success, because this fits with my lifestyle. Plus, I'm a little more invested in this than my previous attempts.
So just quickly, when are you wearing it? Why is it easier for you? You just do a nighttime, or are you doing?
Yeah, it sits right here on my desk, as you can see, and I wear it just before I go to sleep, and I wear it when I wake up, and then for some more time because I don't sleep much. So I try to get at least 10 hours of consecutive wear. And the thing also that I want to address is this whole notion of fewer hours of wear, 9 to 12 to be specific. It's the analog here, Dr. Fagala, is if you look at a car dial, the speed dial, you can see that it goes up to 180 miles per hour to or 220. It doesn't mean that you have to drive that car at 220 or 180. Most people will drive it at reasonable speeds. And it's the same thing. This is approved for 9 to 12 hours of wear, but it's up to the orthodontist to decide what is the wear protocol that they want to follow in a specific case and then make adjustments.
Yeah, sure. All right. Well, there you go. Coming around to this, I was on the website. I was just, tinkering around, trying to figure out what was going on. I saw some other things. There's rescue aligners, there's bright aligners, there's FX Tetra, or you're probably going to say that in a more interesting way. FX, no, maybe FX Tetra. I don't know. You'll tell me.
Tetra.
Neil. Okay,
Tetra. Yeah.
Oh, just Tetra. Well, it says FX Tetra online. That shows what I know. So, Rescue, Bright, Tetra. Tell me about those in turn, if you've used them, and what do they do?
You're asking me?
Yeah, man.
Okay, well, I don't know. So Tetra is their material that's worn 22 hours a day. So if you have someone who doesn't need a lifestyle compliance aligner, right? And they just want to wear it all the time, then Tetra is a little cheaper in cost, and it operates the same as any other aligner, with the exception of it has an air shell. So so the analogy I just want to say is that if you have a car that has run flats, you know what run flats are? They're solid tires. They don't get flat. And you have a car that has an inner tube, or it's got air in the tires. The thing you can say pretty solidly is the tire that has air is a more cushiony ride. You don't feel the bumps quite as hard. The whole thing about an air shell is it's a gentler pressure on the teeth. And honestly, I have to say it's the only aligner like it in the world. In any dental country, industry, whatever you want to say, I believe they are the only registered product that uses air shell technology. It's just a completely different animal. There's no analogy to it compared to the other 80 or so companies here that are selling in the US. I, from a histological standpoint, absolutely believe that the amount of pressure that you're putting on the teeth is more consistent. It's not about being a bully to teeth. It's about being consistent, because it's consistency that causes the histology to work predictably for you. It's when you overload the teeth is when they don't necessarily work to your advantage, and you get undermining resorption and stuff like that. So I think to answer the one question is, can you treat complex cases? The answer is, yeah, you can. I think, my entire practice is custom. I have a very weird practice. Our brackets are custom. Our aligners are custom. Everything is custom in our practice. And so if you would ask me, I try to make people happy, right? And a percentage of my patients want aligners. And if I think that it's a full case, then, this is the product they get, right? I'm not going to give everybody nighttime, because I don't think I have to use that on everybody. But especially if you're relapsed and you have 3 teeth that need to move. But, if it's a full case, I think it's a nice product.
Yeah, nice. And then I guess that was very well said. Bright aligners like make your teeth look whiter. Is that right? Are they the same material
It's
as the
the
Tetra?
Instagram to aligners, as Ren says. It literally does make your teeth look whiter because it's a polycrystalline material. Just makes your teeth look a little whiter, literally.
Does that move teeth, or is it just?
It does.
Just...
Oh yeah. It absolutely moves teeth. It's an aligner product. It's the same amount of time as Tetra. So one of the bonuses with this system is you get free retainers. So I think that's brilliant because they can study the results of their cases, right? When you order a retainer, they can see how well you hit your treatment plan. I think in the first 10,000 cases, 78% of the cases hit on their first treatment plan with one or less refinements, meaning, like a couple extra trays. But as a rule, what I would say is Bright is my retainer, okay? Because I'm not moving teeth. I've yet to need a rescue, but I think the concept of rescue is just simply brilliant. So I don't believe in refinement. I think refinement happens when you don't watch your cases. All of my cases use teledentistry. And I think that's one of the things we learned out of COVID, that teledentistry is just a very useful tool if you understand and you actually invest and use it. Now, you don't have to use, Grin or dental monitoring, because guess what? It comes free with OrthoFX. Ren didn't say that, but I'll say that. It's part of their system. They just give you that tool for free. And FX on Track is just there if you want to utilize it. If you don't want to utilize it, or you're a DM person or you're a Grin person, you can use whatever you want. They don't care. But as a professional who speaks in the clear aligner world pretty regularly, I would say that if you're not using teledentistry, you need to rethink your world a little bit, because the whole concept of, I hear people talking all the time about, oh, I only saw my patient 6 times or 8 times, but I did 3 refinements. Okay, well, that doesn't really help your practice, right? It helps your practice when you are treating properly on the first run. So watching not only makes you kind of more acutely aware when the case isn't going well, but more importantly, and this is something that we don't talk about enough, is it makes your patients more bonded to your practice. I know you're very much into making your patients love your practice, because that's who you are. And I think sometimes we're doing stuff that's just difficult, and for them to be able to talk to somebody on staff digitally, which is kind of their, as I say, their mishpacha, it's their family. They like their phone. They're attached to their phone. I don't know anybody on this call that's attached like you two guys, right? So to be able to chat on your phone to someone and get some response is really huge, right? So people love the fact that they're talking to you, yet they're not in your practice. And they feel that they're more successful because they're talking. Again, the brand doesn't matter. It really doesn't.
Yeah, I am inclined to agree with you there for sure. Okay, you just covered all that in one fell swoop. That was excellent. I have a question that came in. I want to answer this. This is Dale. Dale's back, everybody. This has been Dale's show. Are you still handling patient financing? Is that optional?
Yes, we are. And we can approve 100% of the patients, starting at no fee to the practice. We can approve prime, deep subprime, subprime, anyone with social security number. It is optional. Our philosophy in general, Dale, is to work with you where you and your practice are. We are a service organization. We meet you where you are and not the other way. It's not my way or the highway.
Cool. Awesome. You guys do all kinds of stuff. This is wild. Truly, it is wild. As someone who I know
a different stripe, right?
Yeah.
It took 5 years for us to build. So yes, it's something. It's definitely a labor of love.
Well, I'm sure some effort went into it, Ren, but I'm just saying, this is cool. Okay, so I do have a little video that you guys asked me to show, and I agreed to it because it's a cool video. And I think it kind of helps explain some of this, because again, I'm going to venture to guess that 90% of the people watching this are not super familiar with this. And so I think the video is very helpful. So this is going to be about your hyperelastic polymer. So let's see if this works. You never know. Is stuff going to work? Hopefully. Here we go. Let's see. Yeah. And look, it's like we're there.
Innovation begins with a challenge. Our challenge was to make aligner compliance effortless. This is nighttime. A nightwear aligner to treat all malocclusions with no increase in treatment duration. It's all possible thanks to our unique air shell technology, an innovative polymer structure shaped into separate shells, creating the first hyperelastic aligner. The adaptable inner shell accommodates up to 4 weeks of random teeth movement, addressing daytime relapse, while the firmer outer shell compresses air to gently guide teeth toward their intended position. Identical to heat-activated NiTi alloy, NiTime delivers consistent biologically optimal forces. Bone tissue remodeling happens at its natural pace, allowing teeth to move gradually and precisely to their destination. With its hyper-elasticity, NiTime sets a new standard for performance and predictability. That's why it's the only aligner, achieving remarkable results with reduced wear time, empowering patients for success. When technology aligns with biology, the extraordinary becomes possible.
Very nice video. Whoever made that needs a raise. That was cool.
Thank you.
Seriously, it was cool. Did you make that video? You edited that?
No, I wish I did. I've been a different profession. I've had that much talent.
Pretty sweet.
It was,
So we've got two kind of related questions here: a hyperelastic polymer, and then talking about the air shell polymer. Let's combine them if that's okay, and then I'll let Neil kind of give his opinions on it too. But Ren, if you want to start, what's a hyperelastic polymer, and then talk a little bit about air shell if you don't mind.
The general idea here is that we need to be able to decouple stress and strain, i.e. breaks Hooke's law, to be able to deliver consistent forces over the desired distance that the aligner is programmed to move. So hyperelasticity is the same concept that NiTi wire has, where that force curve is flat, which manifests itself as no pain when you insert or remove the aligner. It's not like a cliff dive that you see with the trilaminate polymer, where an extreme amount of force, almost a kilogram, is exerted. We have done this study on a third-party neutral lab. You can take a look at the force data for an existing aligner system, and you can see how high that force is during that initial insertion stage of an aligner, and also how quickly the force unloads. So the design of the polymer and also the aligner is to keep that force consistent throughout the duration of the aligner, which also means that it's a more comfortable, pain-free aligner for you to wear. So that's, I'll pass the baton to Dr. Warshawsky to add more. I'm sure he can speak more eloquently and more science-based than I did.
Hey, you're pretty eloquent.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, the man can talk for sure. The only thing I'm going to tell you is this is a high-performance product. Okay, like we've all gotten into the point of our careers, hopefully, where we've bought a couple toys, whether it's a closet full of fancy gym shoes. Who would that be?
Who calls them gym shoes? Grandpa?
Just saying. Remember, I'm the old guy on the call here.
Gym shoes.
Yeah.
They're called
shoes.
Sneakers, Neil. They're called
Excuse
sneakers.
Me.
No, it's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay.
That's
me.
So, this is literally like, it's kind of what NiTi did to the industry when stainless steel wires were the only thing available. It was before our time. It was before my time. It was before your time. And they would anneal things, arch wires on those Rocky Mountain machines and all kinds of crazy stuff. Yeah. If you think about it, clear aligner industry is 30 years old, right? I was fortunate enough to be around at the beginning. I was fortunate enough to be in the top 100 practices for almost the first 5 years. So I got to know all the original guys, which was crazy, and ladies. And I watched the industry just explode. Ren grew up in that. That's his whole background, right? And Locke, that's his whole background. They came to me, right, to introduce me to NiTime, actually, right? And the first time they came to my office, they didn't even get in the front door. The second time they snuck into my office. We kicked them out the first time. The second time they snuck in with a sales rep. That was a cheesy move. And I'm like, okay, I'll give you 5 minutes. I ended up giving them like 2 hours and 5 minutes because I was fascinated by the idea of the air shell because I didn't think you could make it. And I got to tell you, this is the Ferrari that's wrapped up in a Lexus box, meaning it is a super high performing product, but you're not paying an exceptional amount of money for it. And if this is what it takes for me to compete with, I'm in Chicago. It's, it's war here, right? I mean, Jessica and I, we can tell you, we're both in, she's in the north suburbs, I'm in the city. There is somebody literally within 1 mile of I have 4 offices. Within 1 mile of every one of my offices, I have at least 10 people practicing, whether it's a dentist or an orthodontist. And it's insane that we all are trying to do the same stuff. So, what can I do? I start with buying the best materials I can use, period. To me, this is the best material available right now. That's it. The air shell, to really tell you, is the secret. Okay. Nobody's figured out how to do it, but when you figure you got the guy who invented the plastic for the industry, the guy who created the software for the industry, right? Those are 2 really super huge guys to have on your team. And Ren is being very humble. So I can literally tell you that between Henry and Locke, they literally created this industry, more or less, right? It's crazy that 2 people created almost the entire industry, but it's true. So, start with people like that on your team, and it's easy to be successful. I'm not saying that they didn't misstep along the way. And I've been part of product development for my entire career. I've been very fortunate, that because you and I have deep roots with 3M and stuff. And
yeah,
I was on the whole Clarity project for 10 years and they stole me away from that, and I have to say that I want to do stuff that is going to leave a lasting impression on the industry. It's really funny. The older I get, the more I realize I get off on making the industry better for everybody, right? And whether it's bringing the prices down or better products or access, making it easier, I don't really care. I just want to make sure that more people have access to being able to use good quality products, right? And I just think that when you really look at all the cards on the table, it's incredibly difficult to see the difference between some of these products. They're all copycats, right? And I think Angel's a great product. It really is. I've done a bunch of cases, not a bunch. I've done a half a dozen or so cases. Not even. I've done 3 cases actually. 2. Okay. No, I'll tell you. 2 out of the 3 cases went great. The 3rd case didn't go bad, but didn't go perfect. Right. Yeah. It's a good product. The price point's unbelievable. It scares me a little bit because that's an industry. That's a very big industry disruptor for the wrong reasons. Right. Now, if in fact it's a great product, and I between the 2 that spoke tonight, clearly it's working well for them. So I think it's a good product. So why would you change? I wouldn't. I was just looking for something. I have 70% adults in my practice, right? I've got a craniofacial background. I'm doing surgery every single week, so I got all kinds of crazy stuff going on. I just need products to perform. Period. And I think that it's just predictable in my hands. And I like the fact that I'm not refining so much, I don't use the word refinement. I use the word building forward. I don't even build forward that much with this product because the product's just running well. Now, maybe it's because we're using teledentistry. I don't know. Maybe because we're taking the time to educate people. Do I have kids that absolutely, or adults who absolutely, screw up here and have to restart? I do. I'm not saying I don't, but it's really far and few between. And if time is money and the world is really expensive to run a practice these days, which I think we all agree upon, at least in Chicago it is, then I want to be able to be effective, make people happy, make them raving lunatic fans, just like you want to do in your practice, but make sure that I hit it right the first time I attempt it, or at least get them close enough where they believe I'm still in control, right? And this product's answering those buttons for me.
Nice. Very well said. We're coming to the end. You guys were awesome. I know 30 minutes is not that long. I gave you a couple extra minutes, maybe, I don't know. And you weren't supposed to speak negatively about other systems, Neil. I know what you were saying, but no, I'm just kidding. I love how you're like, I did a dozen of those. I did 6. No, I did 3. I did 2. Well,
no, I'm being honest. I don't want to lie. I mean, that's what I did.
Of course. You've probably used a little bit of every aligner system, which makes you sort of a unique voice in some ways, for sure. Cost-wise, I didn't have this question on there. If you're comfortable saying it, maybe there's a range or something, but you're talking about it being expensive, but then it wasn't expensive. What is the double shell, the air shell version roughly for a full case? Just so I know, kind of.
I'm paying the same for that as I am for any other case. It's not any more money because I'm a high volume user.
Got it.
and not because I'm a KOL, just because, you know, I have to buy product just like everybody else. So, you know, I think, you know, I would say Spark is even possibly a little bit more. I don't use Invisalign, haven't used a case probably in 10 years. So, and I don't say that disparagingly. I just,
yeah, sure.
I just don't
Ren, if I came in off the street not wearing shoes, what would I have to pay you for?
Sneakers.
OrthoFX?
They're sneakers, not shoes.
So I think before I answer a question, Dr. Fagla, I wanted to, like, you know, there's this concept by Seth Godin in marketing called the purple cow. People notice purple cows. They may not notice normal cows. The key here for you to create a business that is profitable and substantially successful versus your practice down the street is to stand apart, and that is through differentiation. Now, you yourself is part of the differentiation. Like one of the doctors was talking earlier, he is the differentiator, but at the same time, it will help you a tremendous lot if you can offer a product that is truly differentiated. Also, it's kind of like, you know, adding more power to you. So this product typically is sold at a 20% higher premium to patients. The significant research that we've done to show that patients are willing to pay more. The fee for this polymer is a little bit higher than the regular 22-hour polymer because of the manufacturing process that's involved and because of the multiple shells. So it's sold at a little bit of a premium. The premium varies based on your volume. And that is, again, you know, something that we customize based on each practice and the conversation that we have as we onboard that practice. All
right, keep your secrets. I can go with that. So it's somewhere around $2,000 a case, maybe, and you don't
without
have
any discounts. Yeah, I think that's yes, correct.
That's
without
fine.
any discounts. Yes.
Yeah, you're in range. That's fine, as long as it's not like, you know, $7,000 or something.
No. That's how much you can definitely charge the patient.
Well, yeah, I would hope so. I'll charge them $8. No, I'm just kidding.
Only in Tennessee.
I shudder to think what Neil charges in Chicago, Metro Chicago. You can charge a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. He says, well,
if you want to pay the real estate taxes on our building, you can charge what you want to too.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah. All right. So let's finish up with this, Ren. If a doctor wants to find out more info about OrthoFX, what's the best way to reach you guys?
I think you summarized this beautifully in the previous session.
Go
to our website. There's a section there for doctors. And if you click on it, you will see Become a Provider. Fill in a lead form, or you can just connect with us on LinkedIn and send us a direct message. We'll get back to you. And if you mention this podcast, we'll also give you a discount that we had rolled out at the AAO. We'll extend that discount to you.
Fantastic. Oh man, I wish I'd known that. I would have created like a special little image there. So I don't get nothing in return for that. But I hope people will use this. I mean, honestly, the endeavor of this is to educate people on what's out there. I think OrthoFX is really, really interesting. I'm intrigued by it. You know, again, initially my BS meter was going off, but you guys are the real deal. I think you got some really smart people there. If Neil likes it, I'm open to it, you know, for sure. So
it's your first mistake. Okay.
Yeah, no, I know for sure. I've made that mistake many times before, but no, it's a really cool concept, a really interesting thing. And I look forward to learning more about it. That's going to be it for the show. Let me shift on. You guys could just stay there and hang out while I do my outro, right? It'd be rude to just like take you off the camera, I think. So here comes my conclusion. I do want to thank Ortho2. Again, they were our episode sponsor. Go to ortho2.com. Go visit angelaligner.com. Go visit, I guess, orthofx.com, correct? Yep. Correct. And then Ortho2. We got OrthoFX and Ortho2. That's kind of confusing, but hey, it's Ortho. And you can see about upgrading to Edge Cloud or switch into their practice management software. I always hear great things about them. You probably also know this, and you saw maybe in the opening, I am a co-founder of Neon Canvas. Boy, would we love to work for you and support your practice. You can get a free marketing audit at neoncanvas.com/audit. We're going to review your practice's unique local search behavior and competitive landscape. We perform a technical review of your website and then measure your potential return on investment. It's completely free of charge, and there are no strings attached. That's neoncanvas.com/audit. I want to thank everyone who's watching this on Apple Podcasts. Please give us a 5-star review. Don't give me a bad review. That would be bad. Give me a 5-star review if you don't mind, and subscribe and all that kind of good stuff. Our next episode, I never plan ahead, but I have planned ahead. Thanks to Jeremy Manuel. He's been messaging me, and God bless him. we're going to do a debate on airway orthodontics. So that'll be fun. So we're going to have some on one side of that debate, and on the other side, a couple of the authors of the white paper the AAO did. I don't really have a dog in that fight. I did my thesis on airway, and so I have maybe some preconceptions, but it's a hot topic. So we're going to do that in 2 weeks, Monday, June 24th. You don't want to miss it. I'm not going to tell you to mark your calendars, because who out there is marking their calendars for a podcast I'm doing? Hopefully you're marking your calendars with better things than that. But 2 weeks, Monday, June 24th, unless I change my mind, we're going to do airway orthodontics. And then finally, thank you for spending your Monday night with us. Thank you to my guests, Dr. Jessica Cohen and Dr. Jeff Heinz, to Dr. Neil Warshawsky or whatever you want to call him.
Close enough.
I know. And then Ren Menon. He was great. Y'all are all great. Thank you so much. And thank you to Angel Aligner and OrthoFX. As always, thank you to Anna, Alan, Scott, Kayla, Alex, and the TDO team at Neon Canvas. And from all of us here at the Digital Orthodontist Live, I'm Dr. Kyle Fagala, and I am signing off. I'm going to go enjoy the rest of my night as soon as I play the outro video. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next time.